What we're talking about right now is we are getting you ready for the upcoming game. Defcon levels, mailbag every Wednesday. That's how we roll. Let's start off with the Defcon levels. There has been some changes after week 7. Defcon level, let's start with the quarterback. Quarterback's a 4. It was a 4. Stays a 4. Aaron Rodgers has played great. I can't complain, but I want to make it very obvious that you have to be playing out of your mind. You have to be a top tier talent to find yourself getting a 5 in the Defcon level. And so if Aaron Rodgers starts to put up over 300 yards, they're winning a bunch of games, they're still putting up points, it could get there, but not yet. Running backs, they were a 3. They stay a 3. Nothing wrong with Jalen Warren. He looked fantastic. Kenneth Gainwell, the offensive line's working. I guess I want to see him do it again. I want to see this be a regular occurrence before we start bumping this up to a 4 or even higher. Wide receivers and tight ends had a good game. I really wish that DK Metcalf, for the freak of nature that he is, wouldn't have had that ball ripped out of his hands, which was the second interception of Aaron Rodgers. That one kind of stuck with me, but still, it's a 3 and it stays a 3. Hopefully Calvin Austin can get back on the field and help that out. Offensive line was a 3 and it goes up to a 4. They haven't allowed a sack in the last 2 games. I want to say the last 4 games, they've only allowed 2 sacks. This is a group that is finding their stride, and I love it. I think the offensive line's opening up holes in the running game. They're obviously protecting, as I just mentioned. It's a 4. Goes up 1, which is great. Now we go to the defense. There were some changes on the defense. Defensive backs experienced the rare 2-level drop. It's rare that you see a level drop 2, but they were a 4 after the Cleveland game and dropped down to a 2 after the Cincinnati game. It's not all on the defensive backs, but it's also on the defensive backs. And in this case, I thought the defensive backs could have done better. The coaching game plan could have been better. They could have simplified things. If you listen to the Here We Go Steelers show with Coach Kevin Smith and Brian Davis, he talked about how they were just doing way too much, just trying to do way too much. And so it goes down to a 2. Let's talk about inside linebackers. It was a 4. It goes down to a 3. They just weren't stopping the run. They weren't filling. It has a lot to do with the defensive line. We'll get to them in a second. Outside linebackers were a 4. They stay a 4. We can complain about Nick Herbig's usage, rightfully so, but that's not the reason they lost. They lost because they couldn't cover. They lost because they were literally trying everything under the sun and nothing worked. And so that's not on the outside linebackers. That's why they stay at a 4. Let's go with the defensive line. They were a 4. They seem to have shored up their issues in the run defense. Not so much. Goes from a 4 to a 3. Not the best. I hope they can bounce back. 3 is not a bad number, but you don't want to be trending in the wrong direction. Special teams, it's a 4. It stays a 4. Nothing to complain about in that regard after Thursday night. And then the fan Defcon level, another rare 2-level drop. It goes from a 4 down to a 2. Fans were feeling great. 23-9 win over the Browns. Here we go. We're going to beat Joe Flacco. We're going to be 5-1 heading into Sunday Night Football. Nope. Stranglehold on the division. Nope. And now doubt has crept into every Steeler fan's brain, and they're thinking, what is going to happen now? We'll see. We shall see, but I've got the fan Defcon level moving from a 4 down to a 2. All right, so there's the Defcon level update. Let's get into our mailbag. Got a lot to talk about. Let's get this started. And by the way, if you ever want to know how you can get your question answered, all you have to do is find me on Twitter every Tuesday at jhartman, HARTMAN_PIT. I will put out the tweet. Hey, fire away with questions. You all respond, and then I answer them. So let's start with Believers. He said, I have become important at work, he said, through no fault of my own, and rarely have the time to get the Ride or Die Crew poll the weekend in time. Funny thing is, Believers, you had time this week. I had to record much later than usual. I should probably put on when I plan on recording so people know how much time they have. Maybe I'll do that starting next week. But thank you for chiming in, Believers. Good to hear from you. Then we go to our buddy from up north, Jeff Coons. Said, greetings from Not Mad Canada. It's trade season before the deadline. What is an under-the-radar position of need that Omar should be considering, but may not be in the current cluster of fan discussion points? I know exactly where to go with this, Jeff. Cornerback. Yes, cornerback. You heard it right. An under-the-radar position of need. No one's talking about cornerback. Why? They have Joey Porter Jr. They have Darius Slay. They have Jalen Ramsey. Has it been working? Under the radar, that's why I said that. Do I think they're going to do that? I don't. But in terms of under the radar positions of need, that's where I'm going to go. And then he also added, Jeff said, and Jeff, my nephew is a punter. I'm recruiting talent for future hashtag punter talk. He had shared a photo of Jeff with his nephew. Nephew looks like he's a tall guy. Kind of resembles a little long-haired Jordan Berry. I'm just going to say that, Jeff, and don't take offense to that. I would, but you shouldn't. Kudos to your nephew for being a punter. Hashtag punter talk. All right, let's go to Brian Haynes. He said, hope I'm not too late. You're not. He said, Jeff, do you believe in the team still after Thursday's disaster? Or do you feel we've regressed to the point of not being able to reach that 11-win season? I have not given up on the team yet. They still have a lot of winnable games left on their schedule. They still are proving that they're improving, especially on offense. I spent an entire segment on talking about positives coming out of that game on Thursday night. I still believe in this team. The response is going to be key, though. Let's go to Eric. He asked a question. He said, he asked several questions. Let's start off with, do you think we look at soon to be released Tyler Lockett as a good fit for wide receiver 2? Or do you think we should be looking elsewhere like Jacoby Myers or just Dan Pat, seeing how the usage is typically low? Tyler Lockett has asked for his trade and or release. And according to what I've read, the Titans said, okay. If that's the case, do I think they should go after him? I would love for them to find someone like a Tyler Lockett who might still have something left in the tank that wouldn't require them to make a trade. But at the same time, I think that a Jacoby Myers would have a better benefit to the Steelers than a Tyler Lockett would. I'm fine trading for a player. I don't want to give up a lot of draft capital. I don't want to give up a current player. Let's see what we can do. I do think they get a wide receiver at some point. He said, okay, next one from Eric. Also, do you think the defensive issues against the run are as simple as stay in your gap, or is it more complex? It seems like the defense went all in versus the Browns, and maybe we're gassed playing on 4 days rest. That's my tidbit of optimism, hoping we can avenge Green Bay for A-Rod. I don't know. I think the defensive issues in terms of run defense is that the Bengals were able to get this team into the nickel and their dime sub packages, and that's when they really ran on them. They had no answer to it. Do I think that playing the Browns prior, that was a hard-hitting game, and then you have to go play another division game? That's a tall task. I think that the run defense issues are more than just stay in your gap, to answer your question. And he said, and just for funsies, which has been Broderick Jones's most useful attribute this year? A, run blocking. B, pass blocking. C, fumble recovered truck sticks. And D, tackling our own aging quarterback. His most useful attribute, I'm going to say run blocking. Him and Broderick Jones next to each other, they can move some people. We'll put it that way. All right, let's go to Will Caldwell. He said, earlier in the season, we were talking about finding consistency in the offense, finding something to hang that proverbial hat on. It seems that the defense needs to be the defense. I'm sorry. Let me start that over that sentence. It seems when the defense needs to find theirs now. What do you believe should be the defense's hat, and do you think they'll find it? Thanks, Jeff. All right, Will. Sorry for butchering that, by the way. Let's go with the proverbial hat. What do they need to do is the question. I think that the Steelers offense, the proverbial hat, is not that they do one thing well. It's that they found something that works really well. It's the jumbo package. They're not just running out of it. They're throwing out of it. They are utilizing that and maximizing it to its pinnacle. I think on defense, it's a similar story. You can't say something like they just need to do the run defense thing, or they just need to do they need to find things that they do well that they can excel in. So maybe that's saying we are a cover team, a man coverage team, and we like to do a cover 2 look, but we do it so well that we can make it work against anyone. I don't know if that's it. That's just an example, but they need to find what they do well and then run with it. That's my answer. That's the proverbial what they need to hang their hat on. Just do something well. Quit with the trial and error. Let's see how it goes and just get something that works. That's what I want. All right, let's go to JS. I'm not trying to pronounce his last name. It's going to butcher the hell out of it. He said, does the coaching staff get together and watch the Packer and Cardinals game on Sunday or what? I realize there's all kind of videos afterwards, but would seem beneficial to watch live. Yes or no? I think that in some cases they might have kind of a watch party. There might be Mike Tomlin might watch it in the office, and he might have some coaches with him. There might be some coaches that traveled or are doing other things or meeting with it. I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if they do, but I also wouldn't be shocked if the answer is no, that they were with their families and they come in on Monday morning and then they start grinding the tape. So we'll see. Let's go to Brandon Pritchard. He said, with talk circulating around about trading to get a number 2 wide receiver, I can't help but think we don't really need to. Our offense has improved each week, and to me, looks like it can compete. If we do trade for one, do you agree Lockett would be a great fit? If not, why? I think Tyler Lockett could be a good fit. Again, he's an aging receiver. He's not going to cost a lot. If he's released, it's just a matter of hoping no one else gets him before you do. He's going to be a player that DK Metcalf knows. So you would have that kind of inside connection. I think that he still has a skill set that could help. But I don't think that they're going to get someone that's going to come in on day one and just change the world. Think back to Mike Williams last year. That's what you should expect. A guy that comes in, he's got some pedigree, not moving. It's not earth-shattering news when they sign him or trade for him, but he might need to just contribute in key moments. Mike Williams did that last year. Game-winning catch against the Commanders is the first thing that comes to mind. So I would be okay with Tyler Lockett, especially if he gets released. And then lastly, let's finish this up with some humor. Steeler fan 69. He said, I was in an Uber and the driver said, do you mind if I put some music on? I said, no. The driver said, kiss? I said, let's listen to the music first and see how we feel. Next one. I threw a ball for my dog. It's a bit extravagant, I know, but it was his birthday and he looks great in a tuxedo. Those are fantastic. Thank you, Steeler fan 69. And thank you everyone who chimes in on the mailbag segment every single Wednesday. I do appreciate it. But that does it for us. That does it for me. I appreciate Scott for joining me for the Behind Enemy Lines segment. If you missed that, go check it out. Also, make sure you stay tuned to Steel Curtain Network, all of our podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as steelcurtainnetwork.com. That website is totally free. Go check it out, steelcurtainnetwork.com. That does it for me. I will be back on Friday with Jeremy Jerome Betts once again. We'll be getting you ready for this upcoming week's game. You know how we finish it out. Be safe, be kind, and God bless. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on Friday, folks. Go Steelers.